Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be looking at a beautiful romance manhwa called The Reason Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. It'd help a lot. Here we go. A beautiful girl with long brown hair and green eyes is looking through a window with an uneasy expression. She explains that her name is Park Eunha, and that she's transmigrated into a world inside a novel in which she took on the role of a character called Raeliana Macmillan. We then get a glimpse of what happened to her. In February of 2017, she was graduating from high school and had been waitlisted for all the colleges she'd applied to. She'd even studied an extra year for her entrance exams, and her results were still pretty bad. With the future she'd worked so hard for depending on other people dropping out, she was rather nervous and extremely worried, so she decided to get some fresh air on the rooftop of the building she was in. While at it, she met a mysterious man who we don't get to see and who she can't remember now either. She can't even remember what they were talking about when she suddenly got a text saying she'd been accepted into college. But just as she was celebrating, the stranger pushed her off the building. The stranger grinned as she fell, and she cried as she remembered her family and friends while looking at the ground that awaited her. She closed her eyes, waiting for the impact. But when she opened them again, she was already in another world. And she seems pretty annoyed by it because she doesn't understand why it happened. She is now a beautiful and wealthy girl with maids tending to her. Now named Raeliana, she's called on to breakfast. And on the way we meet her father, her sister Rosemary, and her mother, who she has a great relationship with. Apparently, these kind and loving people she'd never seen in her life were the reason she was able to adapt into her new lifestyle, as they always treated her wonderfully, thinking she was their real daughter and sister. Her family was wealthy and had actually attained the title of baron through their successful oil business. Remember that in some cultures, nobility, even though of a lower status, could be bought with the right amount of money. And well, they had the right amount of money. And then some. Raeliana is glad that she transmigrated into a rich family. However, she's extremely concerned about her situation. You see, she already knows the future of this world because she read the novel it was based on. And the future of Raeliana Macmillan looked anything but good. Raeliana was only a super minor side character whose reason for existence was to provide a reason for the female lead, the heroine of the story, to appear in the narrative. Why does the female lead appear? Because she's investigating the murder of her very close friend. Who is this very close friend? Ding ding ding! None other than our very own Raeliana Macmillan. So she went from the pressure of being accepted into college to the pressure of being destined to be murdered just after being given another chance. This poor girl can't catch a break. I mean, it's written in the pages. There's nothing to do about it, right? Well, not according to her. The new Raeliana is not just about going to take her fated demise with open arms. Oh no, she's going to change this story. In fact, she is absolutely determined to do so. You go, Raeliana. This reader supports you wholeheartedly. However, how will she change the story? The original Raeliana is murdered by her fiancé, some nobleman called Francis Brooks, who gives her tea with arsenic. The reason why he poisons her is so that he can take over the Macmillan family business after persuading the family in their moment of sorrow. But he isn't even able to do so, because the original female lead of the story steps into the case and uncovers the truth. So, basically, Raeliana dies for nothing. Our current Raeliana is already engaged to Francis, so she needs to find a way to get out of the engagement first. I mean, yes, she could avoid drinking the tea, but who knows what other strategy to get rid of her he'll come up with after that. It's easier to nip the problem in the bud, and that can be done by canceling the engagement. It's not easy though, since both families have already agreed to it, and though they didn't have much money, the Brooks are respected nobles with the title of Marquess, which is higher than that of a baron. So she needs a really good reason to break off the engagement. Contrary to nowadays, she can't just say, I don't like him. I get a feeling that he's trying to poison me. I mean, she could, but then everyone would think she's nuts because there's no actual proof of it, and she'll be sent to an institution for crazy people. But her life is on the line, so Raeliana will try anything. She persistently tells Francis she wants to break up on a date of theirs, but again and again he ignores her by pretending he doesn't hear her and changing the subject. Raeliana then resorts to a book called Idiot's Guide to Breakups, and inspired by it, she pours tea on him, which he's clearly annoyed by but doesn't show, and then asks him to play the piano for her. When he sits in front of the piano to play, she says, "Excuse me," and without much thought literally exits the building, leaving him all alone. Yep, I totally stan her. With Francis still adamant to break up, Raeliana is forced to take more drastic measures. When they go to the hunting grounds, he tries to mansplain her on how to hold her gun. But little does he know that Raeliana's father likes hunting very much and taught her how to hold a weapon the minute she could walk. Still, pretending she has no idea what she's doing, she aims and fires, and the bullet just about brushes Francis's cheek. With a smile, Raeliana apologizes, claiming to be clumsy, sure that this will get him to leave her. But no! Once again, he shows up at her door. She asks him to leave, but he forcefully grabs her by the wrist, demanding to know why she's treating him like this when she was so loving to him before. Raeliana says he's mistaken in thinking they have something deeper than an agreement between the families. And Francis finally loses it, letting go of his sweet boy facade and showing his true colors. He tells her that her family needs his Marquess title and that someone of her position cannot possibly find a better engagement, so she better learn how to behave in front of her future husband. Okay, someone hold me. I'm about to throw hands at this little piece of entitled and snobby excuse of a man. Soon after, at a party, Raeliana is literally wishing for Francis to perish when she notices the person she's been waiting for has arrived. Okay, guys, this is it. The moment we've been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention, please notice the goosebump-inducing light smirk, the well-toned neck, the glowing air around him. It is my pleasure to present him to you. The mouth-watering, absolutely gorgeous, and he knows it, male lead of our story. Noah Voltaire Winnite, Duke of the Kingdom of Chalmers and the next owner of your heart. I can't. I mean, just look at him. Just look at him. Please. How am I even supposed to keep on recapping after looking at this beautiful man? Okay. I'll continue with the story. To understand what comes next, I need to give you a 20-second lesson on titles of nobility, aka whom is more powerful than whom. From this beautiful chart I made for you guys, you can see that the highest ranking within the nobility is, of course, the king. He is followed by the position of duke, which is given to the close relatives of the king who didn't get the crown. These are then followed by the marquess, who are then followed by the count, the viscount, and lastly, the baron, in that order. So in the Kingdom of Chalmers, the place in which the novel is set, the sovereign power is getting weaker because the world is changing, as it happens, and new nobles who bought their titles like the Macmillans are popping out everywhere. So with so many new nobles, there's an enormous gap in nobility between the old nobles and the new ones. The royal family is trying to form an alliance with the new ones since the old nobles are threatening to overtake the throne. To countermeasure this and the eventual increase of influence of the new nobles, the old nobles come up with a bill that forbids the transference of titles. So this new nobles prevention law would give the old nobles the upper hand. However, there is an issue. The royal seal needed to pass the bill has gone missing. Desperate to keep the new nobles in check, the old nobles form an alliance with none other than our male lead, Duke Noah Winnite. He's the younger brother of the current king, and while he's second in line for the throne, he had to step down from the power struggle for it due to an unknown scandal. I mean, hard not to have a scandal going on with that face. So now, he has returned, ready to lead the conservative old noble faction against his very own brother, the king. This is such a dramatic backstory. Okay, so back to our female lead. Raeliana knows that Noah has the power to stop the Brooks family. I mean, Raeliana is all the way down here in the pyramid, while Francis is all the way up here, so there's little she can do against him. But Noah, oh, Noah is a duke. He can easily deal with the Brooks family with a flick of his pinky. But why would a duke even pay attention to the daughter of a new baron? Well, Raeliana has something Noah may want. Information. Having read the novel, Raeliana knows the future. His future. And who would turn down an offer to that kind of power? Maybe Noah, actually. But Raeliana is certainly willing to at least try. Because of this, when Noah steps out of the party, Raeliana follows him. While this is going on the other side of the party, Francis is talking with another guest when a guy named Jake Lanston interrupts them. Jake behaves as if he's quite close with Francis, but Francis himself seems rather uncomfortable. With a mischievous look, Jake asks about the rumors of how his relationship with Raeliana is sinking faster than a 1,000-pound weight in a pond, and looking at how Francis gets all nervous, he smirks while threateningly telling him to do his job properly, or it will be his end. Whatever that threat may be about, we won't find out right now, as Francis says he'll handle it and scurries away to look for Raeliana, who he's told has just headed towards the gardens. And indeed, in the garden she is, standing behind Noah, who she just followed. Raeliana ponders about how to even begin speaking to him, since they don't know each other and she's just a random low-ranking noble that started following him around. Noah beats her to it, asking what her business is, and turning around with a smirk, and a look in his eyes that would entice any woman with some common sense to propose. Even Raeliana can't concentrate as they introduce each other, and is rendered speechless for a minute, as she just contemplates his face. Same, girl. Same. However, unlike me, Raeliana is quick to recover, and says she wants to offer him a deal. Noah seems surprised by this, but when Raeliana says it's about the missing royal seal, which she knows the location of because she read the novel, his face changes completely from that of a smiling angel into that of a calculating demon, able to get rid of you without even blinking. Raeliana can't help feeling a chill run down her spine at his change, which is no surprise to her because she knows him perfectly. And now looking at her with a cold stare and his full attention, Noah asks what the deal entails. Knowing he took the bait, Raeliana is just about to explain when Francis suddenly appears. Raeliana can't believe he showed up just when she was about to get a chance to get out of her ordeal. And after considering that there might not be another opportunity like this, she boldly takes a hold of Noah's hand, scoots over closer to him and says, "Looks like I can't hide this anymore." Noah seems unsurprised by her actions, but rather looks at her with unexpressive eyes as he observes what she'll do next. And what she does is saying that she found out that the Duke and her have mutual feelings for each other. There is silence for what feels like minutes. Noah looks at Raeliana, still expressionless, while Raeliana looks at him expectantly. She then mouths "royal seal" to him, to which, after a slight moment of surprise, Noah chuckles in an amused manner. He grabs her by the shoulder, pulling her closer with his fake angelical smile back on, while a shocked Francis is left speechless. Just when Francis is about to protest, an attendant of the Macmillan household comes looking for Raeliana since it's past her curfew, and she enthusiastically takes the opportunity to escape the whole situation, internally thanking her father for his strict rules. She turns to leave, but Francis grabs her forcefully, again, questioning her desperately. Raeliana tells him she'd been asking for a breakup for a while now, and this was the reason, but he still won't take it. She sighs and coldly stares at him as she tells him to end things then and there, and just when it looks like he's going to get violent, Noah walks in between them and tells the attendant to take Raeliana back home. She hurriedly leaves to her carriage, where she nearly collapses with exhaustion and stress from what just took place, thinking she must be insane to be striking deals with who might as well be the devil's right-hand man. A furious Francis and an amused Noah have now been left alone in the garden. Francis is fuming over Raeliana's words, accusing Noah of stealing his fiancé, but the Duke just smiles and claims he won't make any comments on the situation other than stating that he can't really call her his fiancé anymore. Enraged and with clenched fists, Francis vows to not let this go and leaves. The minute he's alone, Noah calls onto his secretary, Witten, who apparently was looking at the whole scene from a hidden location, and tells him to investigate both Raeliana and Francis. With his real expressionless face once more, he stares at the hand Raeliana just held, wondering what kind of deal she wants to make. The next morning, Raeliana is in bed with a hangover from what she drank at the party the previous night. She just wants to go back to sleep, but is suddenly told that she has a visitor, and it is none other than the Duke of Winnight himself. Raeliana suddenly jolts awake and remembers what had transpired the previous night, which she'd apparently forgotten about completely in the midst of her hangover. She questions her sanity the previous night as she's getting ready to see him, wondering whatever she'll do now, since her plan doesn't seem to have been really thought through. She finally decides to confidently tell him that she knows his secret and that they have to cooperate. Girl, I don't know if this is the best idea. I mean, he's a beautiful man, but I don't think his personality will allow you to extort him. Raeliana goes to the guest room where Noah awaits, and oh my god, he's holding flowers. Upon looking at her, he smiles brightly and greets her. Raeliana tries to reply amicably, but she's feeling very unwell, even though she says she's okay. Noah apologizes for suddenly showing up, saying that he wanted to see her as soon as possible, even if only for a moment. And Raeliana is startled by how different he's acting from the previous night. She knows he's acting like that because the staff of her house are closely listening in on them. And just as she's leaning over to tell him to go somewhere more private, she burps. We then jump to a scene in which Raeliana is eating ice cream for her hangover, while her maid scolds her for drinking so much even though she can't handle alcohol well. The Duke left soon after seeing Raeliana so unwell, and so her maid Elma asks her about why he suddenly dropped by for a visit, when to her knowledge, they didn't even know each other. She's very vague with her response, but basically makes Elma believe that they fell in love at the ball. Raeliana resorts to books once more and purchases How to Write Contracts for Monkeys from a by now very judgmental bookseller. She's writing the contract for Noah to sign when her parents walk into her room demanding explanations as to why a duke visited their house in the morning. She requests to cancel her engagement to Francis, and her parents look at each other worriedly because they thought she really liked the Marquess. Raeliana confesses that she never really did like him and was actually just following what she was told to do, but that she now wants to fall in love. She knows there is no other excuse she can come up with, and decides to convince her parents little by little with her actions, since they won't understand right away. But she literally chokes on her tea when they say, "I see. Do as you wish." It's her parents' turn to make a confession, and they tell her that she's always done what they told her and that while they were proud, they were actually worried that the marriage wouldn't make her happy. They love her and they support her and her love always. Raeliana feels lucky and grateful but can't help feeling very ashamed because, after all, she's not their real daughter. The guilt consumes her, but she can't say anything. After all, it looks like all this Duke Noah stuff wasn't really needed, and all she had to do was have an honest conversation with her parents. But, oh well, she's already gone and done it. There's no turning back. And boy, is there no turning back. All the news and media are already covering the Raeliana Cinderella story, which Raeliana herself is quick to rip to shreds and throw away. Since there is no escaping this, the next morning Raeliana is determined as she leaves for the Duke's mansion. Once there, she is led to the study where Noah Winnight awaits. Skipping the formalities, and with his naturally cold and calculating personality, he gets right to the point and demands to know about the royal seal and the deal. Raeliana drops all acts of nobility, and much to our surprise, tells Noah that the royal seal is in his very own possession. It turns out that unlike what society thinks, Noah is not truly a leader for the old rich nobility, but rather is working for the royal family in secret, and so no one suspects him of having the seal himself. Raeliana knows about this from the novel, but Noah is quick to deny it with an uninterested face, saying that the game she's playing is a joke and that there's no deal. Raeliana is shocked, but she does not let it show and tells him exactly where the seal is. Noah still plays the uninterested card in this tug of war, and Raeliana decides to play along, smiling as she gets up to leave, although she's secretly worried that she has said too much and it can now be used against her, even though it was all true. She could, after all, be accused of treason because of her words. Raeliana begs him to call and stop her from leaving in her mind, while she turns the door's handle and even opens the door, but it seems like it won't happen. Deciding she must make the move herself, Raeliana remembers seeing a chessboard in the study with the pieces placed in odd positions. With pretend disinterest, she turns and tells Noah to move the bishop to the right. It turns out that the chessboard represents the state affairs of Chalmers, And the move that Raeliana suggests would imply an alliance Noah was not expecting from some nobles. She explains why this would be so, but Noah remains indifferent as he says one can't be too sure. Raeliana simply smiles and confidently turns to leave, telling him to wait and see. This is finally enough to get Noah intrigued, and he smirks like a handsome villain, finally stopping Raeliana from leaving. Whew, she was really close to being in trouble. Noah smiles as he tells Raeliana to discuss their contract, but to be honest, it's a kind of smile that one should probably walk away from, which Raeliana can sense given her unsettled expression as she wonders if she made the right choice, or just worsened her situation. Noah reviews the contract she brought and demands to know why she needs him to act as her fiancé. But since she can't tell him he knows what will happen to her because she read the novel, she says that she's been informed that Francis will attempt to murder her. She says she can't reveal her source, and while Noah does not like this, she says that the informant is dead, so there is no threat regarding the information she knows about the seal. Noah still insists, which really frustrates her. But she is clear in the fact that she cannot yield in this matter, and even threatens to not make a contract while suggesting that many other people would be interested in that information. Very bold choice if you ask me. I mean, he could just have you disappear, girl. He's got that kind of power. Noah just sneers at her threat, which infuriates Raeliana even more. For a male lead, he's pretty difficult to deal with, and seems quite rude, but she still needs him. Raeliana tells him to stop with the mind games, and is very clear in telling him that she only needs for him to pretend to be her fiancé for 6 months. Nothing more, nothing less. And she'll keep her mouth shut. After that, she'll vanish from his life. Noah considers it, and under Raeliana's pissed stare, agrees to sign the contract with a smile that has me giggling like a child. Raeliana, if I were you, I'd write 6 years instead of 6 months and then say, oopsie, it must have been a mistake. Oh well, we must abide by the contract now. No other option left. Noah signs the document, but when giving it back, he states that if he is to perform as her fiancé, she will have to perform as his as well, with all the duties that entails. Raeliana is perplexed, but Noah just gives his devilish smile as he says she'll find out soon enough, to which Raeliana can only shiver in horror. The news are fast to cover the breaking of the engagement between Francis and Raeliana, which her parents supported, and report that there might be a love triangle with Noah as the third party. Apparently, the Brookes are demanding compensation over this, which upsets Raeliana because why did she even make a deal with Noah if this could have been solved with money? But what's done is done, and at least what's done involves somebody pretty to look at, so it's not that bad. In order to protect her, Noah has sent a personal guard he trusts called Adam Taylor. Why do I say protect like that? Because he's actually there to keep an eye on her. And that's exactly what he does. To the point that Raeliana can feel a hole burning in the back of her head. Adam is a super skilled knight that, even though young, he is already a master swordsman who fought in many battles, and is now completely loyal to the Wind Knights. He's very silent and doesn't even say a single word to her, which makes Raeliana a bit uncomfortable. The next day, Raeliana will be moving into the Duke's residence. Apparently, one of her duties as his fake fiancé is moving into his mansion to take bridal lessons, since she's supposed to be the future Duchess. Raeliana was flabbergasted when Noah told her about this, and feels like it's too much, but she still has to go through with it. While on a walk to relieve some of her stress, Raeliana meets her closest maid, who is worried about Adam following her so closely. She says she heard the rumors of him being called the Grim Reaper, for how many he killed in the wars, and also comments on his red eyes, which means that he's an Alsassa, who are supposed to be savages who are good with swords but aggressive. So the people of the kingdom think they're monsters. The maid is appalled that the Duke would send someone like that to guard over her when there are so many other capable knights. Okay, I liked you, but now you're just coming off as rude. And Raeliana thinks the same, because she reproaches the maid, telling her that someone's place of birth is not important, and that Adam is a hero and a knight, and that she does not want her to discriminate people because of this. Now in the garden, Raeliana meets her very cute little sister Rosemary, who is praying for her and Noah to be happy. She releases the balloon she is holding, which is supposed to take her prayers up to the gods, but it gets stuck in a tree. Rosemary is teary as she worries that her prayers won't be heard because of the balloon being stuck. But Raeliana gives her some sweets she had while they wait for the gardener to bring a ladder to get it. However, Adam dashes past them with a swing of his sword, cuts a branch, and the balloon is freed. Raeliana is surprised that he cares, while Rosemary is rejoiced and thanks him by giving him one of the sweets she had, which he quickly accepts with a nod. Because of this, Raeliana thinks he might like sweets, and after confirming it, she gives him the whole bag, to which he is shocked. After all, he's still a kid, and since he had to be in the war from a young age, he couldn't experience the things he should have as a child. With this new impression about him, Raeliana smiles at Adam and tells him she'll be in his care from now on, finally being comfortable around him. The following day, Raeliana is shocked by the size of the carriage that comes over to pick her up. It's as big as a house. Her parents, who don't seem at all surprised by her sudden engagement to a duke, might I add, tear up as they see her off. Pause for a second, though. Do they really have no concerns about this? I mean, I know they said they support her, but suddenly she's engaged to the king's brother. How can they be so okay with it? Okay, I'll continue with the story. At the mansion, she is received by all of the staff and the head butler called Gideon, who loves the house quite a lot, and so insists on giving Raeliana a tour of the house as soon as she steps on the entrance. She can't really refuse, although she'd like to since she's tired from the trip, but off they go. Hours go by, and Raeliana is exhausted, finally on her bed. She even wonders if maybe the butler is bullying her because he thinks she's not worthy of Noah. What with the hours-long tour of the importance of every nook and cranny of the house. Sarcastically, she says to herself, "Don't tell me, this bed is important too?" To which she is met by a reply she was not expecting, by none other than Noah himself. Raeliana jumps up from her bed and looks back, and indeed there he is, her fake fiancé, who somehow got in. Astounded, she tells him that he can't just go into someone's room, but he just toys with her, and finally tells her that she can't expect any privacy while living under his roof. Raeliana is astonished, but what can she do? Noah says that he came to greet her, and that he's taken care of the Brooks' lawsuit about the previous engagement, commenting that her taste in men is bad. She smiles as she thinks about how that comment fits the fact that she's now with him. Noah tells her that her bridal lessons begin tomorrow, and that while he does not expect her to actually be good, she just needs to do it right. Raeliana retorts with the same argument about him with a confident smile, and once more the ever-so-cold-hearted scheming Noah finds himself unable to stop the amused smile that comes to his lips. And I find myself unable to stop staring. Raeliana asks Noah if anyone knows about their fake relationship, and he says that only 2 people know, Adam and someone he will not yet reveal. She therefore has to pretend to be all lovey-dovey even inside the house because of the staff. Raeliana then tells him that he should call her by her name, since till then he'd only been referring to her as you in public, and that he should respect her privacy, and in exchange she'll do her best not to give him any troubles, which is clearly a threat. He understands and decides to leave, stopping at the door to tell her she can ask for anything she wants at this house since she can have anything as Duchess, to which she smiles and says that she wants her room with nobody in it. You tell him, Raeliana. Noah only tells her to call him by his name too, since she referred to him as my Duke, and she doesn't really want to. He tells her to try it out and she refuses, but promptly surprises her by grabbing her by the chin and inching closer and closer, staring into her eyes as he explains that if she can't say it now, she won't be able to say it in public. "What's my name?" he asks, while Raeliana blushes, unable to stop herself. She stammers as she tries to utter the 2 syllables, and after shakingly doing so, she is asked to repeat them. Entranced by his eyes, she can't do anything but comply, even though her pride is hurt. I don't blame you. That stare would work on me too. He finally releases her, giving her an approving grin, and leaves, while Raeliana can be seen punching a pillow. Once outside, his calm and cool collected persona breaks, and he can't help but shake in laughter after teasing her that much, to which Adam is quite puzzled. Noah asks him what he thinks of her, and he says she's strange, which is a strange comment coming from him since he usually criticizes people, which means he might actually like her. Noah thinks about this for a moment, his naturally calculating face back on, and instructs Adam to watch over Raeliana as he leaves. while Adam wonders if he's sick because of his words and actions that don't match his personality. Luckily for our female lead, her body remembers what the original Raeliana knew before her soul took over, so she has no trouble keeping up with etiquette and other classes she has to take due to the deal with Noah. While taking a break from studying history, Noah shows up from behind her and takes a leaf out of her hair, smoothly teasing her, saying that he can buy her jewels if she wants them. There's no need to attach just anything to her hair. Raeliana is annoyed by this and asks what he's suddenly doing there when he presents her with a bouquet, which he sways away while she tries to grab it, teasing her again. Raeliana contains her anger and smiles as best she can, greeting him. After teasing her some more, Noah tells her that they'll be going to a ball that night, but Raeliana is shocked when he says that he'll be taking the opportunity to announce their engagement. To this, he quite nonchalantly states that it can't be delayed any longer, since their engagement ceremony is the following week. Raeliana's jaw basically drops. Just 1 week? Raeliana is angered by the fact that she's finding out about the engagement announcement on the same day of said announcement, to which Noah only smiles. Well, nothing she can really do about it. Time to get prepared for the dance. Just then the door opens, and a very tall man walks in. Raeliana can only look upwards as she stares at the man who introduces himself as Nick Maddox, the fashion wizard who will get her ready for the ball. Raeliana looks to Noah as if asking for an explanation, but he basically tells Nick to take care of her and just leaves with a very amused smile. Now alone, Nick tells Raeliana his magic hands will make her beautiful and radiant, and she just stares at him, wondering if she'll be fine. All worries dissipate instantly as soon as she sees the results of his makeup techniques. The bags under her eyes from studying till late at night are gone. She's even glowing. Nick and Raeliana are now super excited for what is coming ahead, and Raeliana has learned a very important lesson. Never judge a book by its cover. Nick gives her a beautiful flowy dress, and as the maids work on her hair, he is kind enough to give her some information about society, since she's heading right to the middle of it that night. He tells her there are currently 2 popular smiles going about. The Noah Widnight smile, which basically means, I've no idea what the what nonsense is coming out of your smile, and he can only use, and the Vivian Shamal smile, which Nick compares to that of a sly fox. He tells her that she will be sporting a new kind of smile, the Nick Maddox smile, which he trains her in. A few hours later, Raeliana is finally ready, and boy is she gorgeous. You go, girl. Show them how a female lead makes all the heads turn. Her first victim is Adam, who is too shocked by her beauty to say anything or even move when she comes out of the room. Raeliana smiles at him, unaware of the impact of her beauty, and goes into Noah's study to greet him so that they can leave for the ball, leaving a dazed Adam behind. When Raeliana goes into the study, Noah is busy looking at some papers. He says they'll go to the ball right after he finishes with... He can't even finish the sentence. Just like that, Noah Widnight, Duke of Chalmers, who's always on top of the situation and teases Raeliana with a smirk, has been literally rendered speechless by the gorgeousness of our female lead. He just stares at her. Raeliana asks if she looks weird, wondering why he hasn't teased her yet. There is still no reply from him. All he does is turn around, grab a few papers he was reading from the desk, and walk past Raeliana to go to the carriage to keep on working there. Raeliana is a bit upset at this, thinking that he doesn't want to praise her even for show. But the butler tells her in confidence that he must be too shy to praise her beauty. And I agree with the fact that he was wonderstruck by her looks. I mean, the indifferent and all-about-work Noah stopped reading the papers he was holding and then took them to go, not to make her wait. Raeliana doubts the words of the butler to be true, but when she looks at Noah, he's still in a daze looking at the sky. Maybe he did think she was pretty? Once at the ball, everybody is staring at Raeliana after the engagement announcement is made, which makes her rather uncomfortable. Everyone approaches her and Noah to congratulate them, saying great things about them because they want to look good in front of the Duke. But he just sports his usual Noah Widnight smile, meaning he does not really pay them much attention. Interestingly, when a young man approaches to ask Raeliana for a dance, Noah puts his arm out in front of her to block him and smiles him away, which makes all the ladies at the party blush, thinking he's so charming. Raeliana cries by herself, thinking that he's just fooling them all. Not even 5 minutes ago, Noah had told Raeliana to stay under his watch at all times. He even brought a female guard along to ensure that she will be under surveillance even at the bathroom. That's the kind of man he is. Now at the dance, Noah extends his hand to Raeliana, asking her for a dance. Calculating as she is, Raeliana agrees at once. After all, they must not let anyone suspect that they're not really in love. As they dance, they exchange some rather unpleasant words in a low voice while smiling so that no one will suspect a thing. Noah teasing her all the while, of course. Raeliana then takes the opportunity to accidentally step on his toe, but he is quick to retaliate as he spins her around and holds her in a way in which she ends up almost falling backwards and grabbing onto him for stability. "Looks like you need more practice, Raeliana," is what he says as he smirks at her. After a while, Raeliana is having a drink next to Noah when she suddenly feels like someone is watching her. Making her way towards her is none other than the novel's female villain, Vivian Shamal. In the novel, she was constantly trying to woo Noah, but was always rejected, and so she finally decided to accept the advances of his brother, the king. She is currently training in order to become the queen. However, in the novel, when Noah and the female lead start dating, she was always trying to intervene. Who knows what she will try to do to Raeliana now that their relationship has been confirmed? Raeliana instinctively hides behind Noah while trying to avoid Vivian, for which he looks at her oddly. He then tells her that it's time for her to own up to her half of the agreement, and that she has to perform her duties as his fake fiancé. What he wants her to do is go talk to the woman next to Vivian, Price Eritil, who is the wife of a marquis. There appears to be a social circle amongst the wives of high-ranking nobles that is highly influential, and Noah wants to be able to access it. And so Raeliana's mission is to convince Price, one of the members, to invite her into it. Raeliana says she'll do it, but it won't come cheap, so he has to be sure to pay her back, and leaves while sticking out her tongue to him. All of this leaves Noah perplexed for a minute, but he actually laughs, slightly amazed by the way she turns things around against him. After locating Price, Raeliana walks to her and accidentally has Price bump into her, spilling the glass of wine she was holding over herself. Raeliana is the master of these accidental interactions in these chapters. What with this and stepping on Noah's foot? Price, who appears to be really shy, trembles as she apologizes to Raeliana, but Raeliana just plays it cool and is kind to her, telling her that she should wipe her hands before anything. Price has fallen for her scheme to separate her from the party by taking her to the bathroom to talk. However, they are instantly interrupted by Vivian herself, much to Raeliana's dislike. Raeliana introduces herself and greets her, while insisting that they're in a bit of a situation and that Price should go to the bathroom to wash her hands. Vivian uses her influence and intimidating words to make sure that Price, who is easily shaken, agrees with her by saying she's fine and doesn't have to go, and then decides to take a jab at Raeliana. She said she heard praise about her, especially in the academics field, and that she must have worked hard given her background as not one to educate women. Indeed, Raeliana is basically a genius in this world since she still retains all the knowledge she had as a student in Korea, while nothing is expected from a woman here in terms of intelligence. Even though Vivian mentioned her background to remind her that she's only a noble because her father bought the title, Raeliana smiles brightly and says, "I'm honored you think so highly of me." What follows is an elaborate conversation between the two women, in which the words exchanged seem to be those of praise and amicability, but in reality, the hidden message behind them is completely hostile. This goes on for a while, and just as Vivian is trying to shoot once more, Nick shows up and tells Vivian that he wondered when she'd appear at the ball, and that since she has so little presence, he must have not noticed her. Yes, Nick. Yes. Vivian tries to go against him now, but he literally says "sly fox" in between fake sneezes, saying that he must be excused since he's allergic to red hair. Price and Raeliana are completely shocked as they watch this unfold, but then Raeliana notices that Nick is giving her a hand, and after exchanging a hidden high five, she takes the opportunity to take Price to the bathroom. On the way, Price is totally uncomfortable given that wherever Raeliana walks, 5 knights follow behind her. Noticing this, Raeliana convinces Adam to only leave behind Lady Ansley, the female knight, and have the rest of them go back to the ball. Ainsley is extremely surprised when Adam agreed, since he is not one to ever do anything differently to what the Duke instructs, and follows after the ladies. Once in the bathroom, Price washed her hands, and Raeliana hands her a cloth to dry them, to which she smiles. Price opens up and tells her that it's been hard to adapt to the capital since she's originally from a small noble house that lives far away from this lifestyle. Raeliana is able to bond with her through this, saying that it was hard for her as well since she wasn't even a noble at the beginning. She takes the opportunity to ask about the social circle Noah had told her about. Raeliana plays the pity card, saying that she's jealous of Price belonging to the group since she still is unaware of how to communicate with the other ladies of high society. Comforting her, Price invites Raeliana to the next meeting, which Raeliana immediately accepts while smiling brightly, saying that she's so happy that they'll be able to get closer through this. Of course, what she really wants is the invite, but she must make it seem as though all she wants is friendship so that Price does not feel used. They both agree that they should go back to the party, but when they open the door, a large amount of smoke suddenly fills the room. Price screams, and Ansley is quick to react, but she can't see anything in the room. She can't smell anything burning, which means that the smoke is not from a fire, and that it's intentional. Just then, we can see that Raeliana is grabbed from behind by a stranger, and a piece of cloth is placed over her mouth. Slowly, she loses her consciousness, and the last thought she can muster is Noah. What just happened? Who kidnapped her? Our female lead has just woken up when Jake, that guy from the first chapters who was talking to Francis, shows up. So Francis is still stirring up trouble for us. Raeliana tries to act tough, but it seems that Jake is not one to beat around the bush. So she makes the smart choice to sit and wait. While at it, she finds out that for reasons unknown to us, Jake's sister is dead because of Francis. So he's using that against him to get him to do his bidding. What he's really after, though, is money. It seems there's no way to get through to Jake, and Raeliana doesn't know what to do next when Francis comes rushing through the door. It seems there's some trouble with their plan, and Jake leaves, telling Francis to handle Raeliana. She is quick to see the door was left open behind Francis, so she distracts him by telling him she knew he was planning on poisoning her, and makes a run for it, holding up her dress. Sitting by a tree to think for a minute, she decides she must stay on the road to be able to find people, and rips her dress in order to run faster. She starts moving, but suddenly hears footsteps on the ground and starts running as fast as she can away from them. Her hair becomes loose. She's panting for air, but still, she is grabbed. Luckily, though, who grabs her is none other than Sir Adam. Adam tells her to remain quiet since he can sense someone is coming their way. Jake is the one to come through the field, and in an instant is overpowered by Adam. As Adam awaits Raeliana's orders to have him killed, Jake starts talking about his poor widowed mother, saying that if she has him killed, him and her will be in her conscience forever. Raeliana thinks that's a cheap trick, which it is, but asks Adam if he can capture Jake without killing him. And Adam is just about to do so when Jake throws a vial at him, which ends up pouring a drop of its contents on Adam. The content appears to be a potion that attracts all monsters in the area, and there just so happen to be a ferocious one lurking by. Since Adam now has to fight the beast, Jake takes the opportunity to run away. Adam's chill expression does not even change as he evades the beast, but Raeliana is worried since they are cornered on a cliff. Adam briefly looks back and nods, proceeding to pushing Raeliana over the cliff. She can't help but remember how she was pushed off the building right before she entered this novel. But this time, the ending is different, since on the ground there's Noah waiting to catch her. She is stunned, but he is relieved, holding her close to him. Okay guys, I'm gonna be right back. Gonna jump from a safe distance to see if some hot guy catches me too. Kidding. Do not imitate Raeliana's actions at home. Even if you want a handsome dude to catch you too. Hearing a loud sound, Raeliana is brought back to reality and starts thrashing around, telling Noah to let her go because Adam is up on the cliff and is in danger. Noah seems really uninterested on his well-being, and Raeliana is horrified until she understands why. Upon climbing the cliff, they find Adam on top of the defeated monster, looking as cool as a cucumber. She clearly didn't need to worry about him. Just then, Ansley arrives with Jake, who she found on the way to them and brought along because he looked suspicious. Raeliana smiles and waves at him, and then signals that he's a dead man, laughing like a villainess, to which Ansley is very shocked. While people are still searching for Francis, Noah gives Raeliana his coat, like the gentleman he is, and she notices he is carrying a gun. Suddenly, there is a movement in the field, and knowing it's Francis, Raeliana does not hesitate to grab Noah's gun and shoot at the ground below his feet. She approaches the man, who now sweats and trembles on the ground with a pissed expression, saying this is all a pain and it's all because of him. She points his gun at him, smiles, and a bang is heard. When we see that she aimed right under his little friend, and that shock caused Francis to wet himself. Our female lead is super content, thinking about how she wants a picture to remember the moment, when she turns around and has 4 people staring at her incredulously. She smiles and remembers she's supposed to be an innocent lady, and hides the gun behind her, acting all cute and saying, "Ah, looks like I shot a gun." Girl, please. Raeliana is riding home with Noah, and though she's embarrassed, she thanks him for coming to save her, and then falls asleep, unable to stay awake as the light of dawn finally shines over them. Noah holds her closer so that she won't fall, wondering why he cared so much when he was told she'd been taken. Usually, the death of someone like her wouldn't baffle him, but... Raeliana wakes up in the mansion and is speechless when she finds herself next to a bare-chested Noah. I can't, guys. I'm literally fanning my face right now. Worried about her own innocence and unable to remember the events of the previous night, Raeliana asks if nothing happened. But the Duke just smiles and asks her if she doesn't remember her clinging on to him all night. Raeliana can only run away with embarrassed tears on her face, and just as she gets out of the room, she goes past Adam telling him not to grab her, while Noah orders just the opposite. Adam complies with both, and grabbing Raeliana, he jumps through a window to run away with her, leaving a baffled Noah behind. Just then the butler arrives, telling Noah it's time for his next meeting, but he tells him to cancel it since Raeliana has been taken. Of course, the butler worries. That is, until Noah starts describing the kidnapper as Sir Adam. The butler is confused, but under Noah's insistent smile, he says he'll take care of it, wondering why he's acting so unlike himself, remembering how even that morning he was smiling so broadly when he arrived carrying Raeliana. Adam has taken Raeliana to the garden, where she frets because she apparently slept with Noah last night, and that isn't even her body. Can she really ignore that? She then worried about her smell, since all of the events the previous night prevented her from taking a bath. Adam is sweet enough to take her to the maid's room to freshen up, and she can't help herself. She tries on a maid uniform. Of course, she looks really pretty and decides to go out in that attire to keep hidden from Noah. She goes into the kitchen saying she's a new maid assigned to Lady Raeliana, and saying that Lady herself wants some food. She is able to leave with a fully stuffed basket. After eating, she heads to the library, where she reveals that in this new world she has the ability to read every language that exists, and is trying to get a book when someone helps her get it down for her. This new character is Count Keith Westernberg, the dude who Noah was supposed to meet but stood up because Raeliana was taken. Apparently, he's still waiting for him. Still, upon learning that she can read complicated languages, Keith gets all excited and asks her if she wants to stop working as a maid and go to an academia. It is in that instant that Noah finds her, looking rather annoyed, and starts to explain that it was all a misunderstanding, and apologizes for not explaining earlier because he thought it was funny, cornering her with her arm against the wall. Is the arm cornering really necessary? Probably not, but I'm here for it. Raeliana wonders if he's okay. I mean, he sounds so sincere, so unlike the Noah she knows. She tries to get away, but Noah grabs her by the hand, asking if she'll forgive him with his irresistible smile, and even bites her cutely, saying he won't let her go until she forgives him. Do we all remember there's someone else in the library? We do? Okay. Flustered and angry, Raeliana says she will forgive him, swats his hand away, and flees from him again. Keith has a very confused and cringed-out expression on his face. He is the only one other than Adam who knows the truth about Noah and Raeliana's contract. But he can't help but wonder, does Noah actually like her? A few weeks later, Raeliana is visited by Marie Wayne, the top dressmaker of the land, who is extremely exclusive, even to nobles who need to meet a lot of requirements and wait a whole year to even be considered by her. Still, Noah got her on short notice. Of course. She gives Raeliana a beautifully laced white dress, her wedding dress. With Francis put away in prison, she wonders why Noah insists on them still getting married. They can technically call off the agreement. Raeliana wakes up and is looking at the night sky. She asks Noah, who is rowing a boat, why she is here. He calmly says it's a date, but then asks what she's doing there when she was just sleeping on her bed with the actual freaking tomatoes, Noah. Still, he calmly says because there is a fireworks show that night. Raeliana is just used to his attitude by now, and while looking at the fireworks, Noah says he knows she'll use him to her heart's content and then throw him away. Raeliana says they're only in this situation because she blackmailed him, but Noah laughs and tells her to stay by his side, at least until they are not useful to each other anymore. Raeliana thinks about this and asks if that's the only reason why, because of their usefulness. After a moment of silence, Noah says that's the only reason. Raeliana asks him if he's ever loved someone, and he says no, because since he's the Duke, falling in love is taking a big risk. She confidently smiles at him, telling him he'll love someone soon, which stuns him. Of course, she's thinking about the original female lead from the story, but Noah isn't. Just as he reaches out to her, Raeliana gets up on the boat. On the shore, amongst the people, for a moment she clearly saw it. Blonde hair. The original female lead, Beatrice. It's been some days, and Raeliana is reading a letter from Price telling her that she heard of what happened after she was taken and sending her words of friendship and comfort. At least we know she was not hurt during the whole incident. She was in the bathroom too, after all. Next to that letter is the letter Raeliana had sent to Beatrice, which was returned without being opened. Raeliana is confused. She saw Beatrice on the shore. She's sure. But she should still be in school, since the reason she even showed up in the novel was to investigate the original Raeliana's death, as they were very close friends. Why has the letter been returned? Where is Beatrice? Did something in the story change because of her actions? Raeliana heads to the library, where she finds Noah sleeping peacefully, all handsome as always. She can't help thinking about the novel and how him and Beatrice met. They didn't get along at first, but always felt a strange connection to one another, and eventually fell in love. Our female lead is woken up from her thoughts by Noah, who is staring at her. She doesn't know what to say. I mean, she was staring right at him while sleeping, and getting all flushed, Noah wonders if she's got a fever, cupping her cheek. He then grabs it, noticing nothing is wrong with her, and starts teasing her for staring at him while he slept, saying he didn't know she had that kind of hobby. She says she'll write an apology letter, all embarrassed, and leaves to punch her pillow, while Noah smiles, staring at his hand, thinking that feeling he's having. It's not bad at all. Raeliana prepares for a trip to the mountains. There's an event all nobles attend in which men and a few women catch monsters to reduce the monster population and gift their catch to the women. The woman with the most gifted catch is considered to be the winner of the event. As Noah's fiancé, Raeliana must attend, and just as she's about to get on the carriage to leave, she receives a letter she's been waiting for. She'd written to the school Beatrice was supposed to be at to ask about her, but the school replied telling her she's not even listed among the students. Raeliana then confirms it. The plot has most definitely changed. Anyway, the monster catching event begins, and almost everyone is promising their catch to Vivian, who had won the event all the previous years. Raeliana is honestly not interested, and watches as some ladies try to give a handkerchief to Noah, a symbol the lady gives to men in the event for them to give them their catch. Quite shameless of them. He's engaged after all. Ansley seems to be shameless too, as she promises to give her catch to Raeliana. Not knowing this would happen, she did not prepare a handkerchief for her, but Ansley just takes a ribbon from her wrist and ties it to her, giving Raeliana a total girl crush. Noah pops up from behind her, asking if she hasn't forgotten about something, and she remembers she has. Much to Noah's discontent, She calls on Adam to give him a handkerchief, but Noah interrupts her, saying she can't give her handkerchief to another man when her loving fiancé is right there. She says she doesn't have any for him, since he has never accepted a handkerchief from a lady before, but he insists on keeping that one. In the end, she has to give in, and gives Adam a failed attempt of hers that has a menacing dragon embroidered on it, which makes him wonder if she wants him to catch a dragon for her. Noah then gets down on his knee and performs the promise ceremony, leaving everyone around whispering, and Raeliana herself is shocked, although she reminds herself she must act natural. She gives him the handkerchief, and after they exchange some smirks, off they go into the monster-filled land. The lord of the land, who stayed behind a bit, tells Raeliana the story of the cryo-dryer, a huge monster that they are proud to have been able to stop a long time ago, even though he left a scratch on the castle walls. He still wants to catch it someday and is still waiting for an opportunity. Raeliana and the other ladies await the return of the nobles and knights, and of course, drama ensues. Vivian tries to act all friendly with her, asking her to sit by her, and though she politely refuses, Vivian's friend gets her to agree. They then start flexing about how Vivian got so many great tributes dedicated to her, which doesn't vex Raeliana at all. And then they go on to saying how Noah never dedicates his catch and blah blah blah. Basically trying to make Raeliana feel bad, but she's quick to throw a quick retort to shut them up, making other ladies laugh as well. They still try again, but since Raeliana keeps winning, they say that the food she just ate was spoiled and should retire to her chambers to rest. Okay, preschool much? Meanwhile, Ansley suffers on the battlefield, not because of a monster attack, but because she has to watch over as the other two slash around without a worry in the world, as easy as if they were cutting through butter. They even got the cryo-dryer with ease, and Ansley can only lament for the Lord who was still hoping to catch it someday. Noah decides to camp there for the night, but Raeliana worries, since from the building she can't see the Wind-Knight flag anywhere. Vivian and her friends still try to bully her, pouring wine on her, but Raeliana just doesn't care, throwing less polite words at them. Nobles and knights start to return, most dedicating their catches to Vivian, but as rain starts to pour, there's no sign of the Wind-Knight party. Raeliana is even more concerned when Ansley returns, tired and huffing, and right before she collapses, she describes what she saw out there. Hell. A woman then screams, and Raeliana looks at the direction in which she points, saying that the mountain has just moved. And indeed, it certainly looked like a mountain was moving, what with Adam and Noah showing up carrying a gigantic beast behind them, with the most chill expressions as if they were strolling along the park. Noah smiles as soon as he sees Raeliana, apologizing to her for not getting the dragon she wanted, since there didn't seem to be any, but assuring her he'd get her one eventually. Raeliana just wonders in shock, whenever did she imply she wanted one? Still, she sees Vivian looking at her angrily and takes the opportunity to get up and close with Noah, wiping away the rain from his face. He is surprised, but quickly plays along, making Raeliana cringe, but Vivian furious. Raeliana throws her a kiss as she leaves, and as soon as she's in the building, demands to know what the dragon stuff is about, to which he produces the handkerchief she had given to Adam. Raeliana deduces that he knew that was not the meaning of the handkerchief, but decided to go this far just to tease her for the strange design she embroidered. Just then, Noah asks if she's going to stay, since he wants to take his clothes off. Honestly, I would have said yes, but Raeliana races to the door while Noah says it doesn't matter to him if she wants to see, teasing her about how she watched him sleep not long ago. She covers his mouth with her hands, embarrassedly rambling excuses while he just keeps teasing her, having the time of his life. But then, Raeliana inches even closer. Too close, maybe, and when she asks if he will stop with his attitude, he gives a troubled nod. She smiles and lets him go, surprised at how fast he agreed, unaware of the troubled expression he has while she leaves. She can't believe she just acted like that, but she thinks it felt nice. Well, duh! Imagine being able to touch those silky soft lips of his. I wouldn't wash my hands for 3 days. Anyway, Keith enters Noah's room, commenting on how he's never caught anything at a hunting event before, and much less dedicating it to a lady. And Noah seems defensive as he asks what his point is. He says he doesn't have any, but then asks, as his friend, if he's serious about Raeliana. Noah instantly replies no, so Keith asks him if he wouldn't mind him approaching Raeliana instead. But under Noah's hard expression, he instantly feels fear for his life. Noah gets up and faces him directly, telling him not to cross the line, and Keith can do nothing but avert his eyes and look down. I don't know about you, but this whole scene, my heart is beating so fast. Like, Noah's look on his face. Please. In another room, Vivian is throwing a tantrum over not being able to catch Noah's attention. She even accepted his brother's advances only so he would notice her more. In anger, she grabs a brooch, a green gem, saying this will help, which honestly just means trouble is coming. Somehow that same brooch appears in Raeliana's room not much later, and intrigued by the item, she takes it with her to the temple she must visit as a custom after the hunting event, even though Vivian herself has left the event entirely and will not be in attendance. Said temple is where one of the most important figures of the church, His Holiness Pope Hika, resides. Hika looks like a child, but apparently he's very old and very powerful, and very much against meeting the visiting nobles, even though his aide, Wade, implores him because they really need their donations. Hika seems to be really rude since he's a genius and no one can be at his level. But after insistence from Wade, he finally agrees, sending him away moments later. As winner of the event, Raeliana must participate in the torch ceremony in the temple. She's taken separately to purify her. This means she will be isolated from everyone, and all she'll do all day is eat bland, weird-looking meals and take purification baths, which she's so tired of already. She's pulled out of her thoughts by the sound of a bird splashing in the lake in front of her. It seems to be in trouble, so she picks it up. It just so happens that Hika is up on a tree watching her the whole time. A bit stalkerish, but okay. Raeliana doesn't understand what's wrong with the bird, but Hika finally speaks, saying that those birds can only fly in cool temperatures, but the dome that surrounds the temple is warm due to the priest's magic, so it will not survive long. With an indifferent expression, Raeliana walks to the edge of the dome and throws the bird out, even though Hika, who follows her closely, tells her it will die because of the extreme temperature change now, and that its fate is sealed. Raeliana turns and grabs at his cheeks, telling him fate or no fate, if you have the will, you'll live. After all, she herself is changing the whole story to survive. Hika is flabbergasted at how she's treating him. Does she not know who he is? But of course she doesn't. Just then, the bird flies away, and Raeliana watches it go. Hika is super offended by her attitude, and so after she leaves, he starts looking for her, giving Wade a poorly drawn picture for reference, and insulting him for not finding her with that visual aid. Poor Wade. How can you do anything with that? Still, Hika insists on looking for her. She treated him like a child, and he can't let that go. He must make it clear that he is a superior human. Raeliana is trying to evade the odd-looking meal at all cost, and is ecstatic when Eunha, who helps her in the temple, lets her skip the meal and tells her she can just transcribe a Bible today. She arrives at the library and starts transcribing a Bible she found written in an odd language, but of course, given her ability, she can read it with no issues. She transcribes and translates, writing in a lot of pages, which are then found by Hika, who is impressed that someone can understand the language that well. Everyone else in the temple is basically a dimwit to him, but this person actually has a lot of talent and potential. So away with the search of the person who offended him, and on he goes with the search of this prodigy, which, unknown to him, is the same person. Wade uses his powers to create a tracking butterfly, and of course, it lands on Raeliana. Hika is surprised, and talks to Raeliana in ancient language to confirm it was her who translated the Bible, which of course is confirmed when Raeliana replies fluently with no issues. He gets all excited, asking where she learned to speak this language, saying he would be better at teaching her. He is basically scouting her, and grabs her hand claiming she will be his new student. Raeliana, of course, is very confused. She still thinks he's a child, but when Wade explains his identity, she just doesn't want anything to do with him. Raeliana starts speaking formally to him and refuses his invitation to be his student, because of which he's even more surprised. He's all smiles and rainbows to her now, but she still refuses. He tells Wade he must have misheard her, and when he turns to demand an explanation from Raeliana, she is gone. The next day, Raeliana is dressed with the brooch adorning her hair, although she felt uneasy staring at it earlier. Finally, we get to see Noah again as he greets Raeliana with a cute smile. He notices she's lost some weight due to the diet of odd-looking soup she's been on. So attentive. At the temple, they're greeted by holy knights who rarely leave the Holy Land, so what are they doing here? Of course, Higa called them over just so he can make a display of his power and authority in front of Raeliana. Higa remembers the advice Wade gave him to try to foster a good relationship with her for her to agree to become his student, but he's been alone for 150 years, with no friends or family. He doesn't really know what to do. He remembers how a colleague told him his granddaughter follows him around calling him Grandpa, and how excited he was about it. So inspired by this, he tells Raeliana he will be her grandfather. Wade chokes on his drink, Eunha drops her cup, and Raeliana tries to avoid the situation. Wade explains he can't simply take on Raeliana as his granddaughter, but wasn't it him who told him to build a relationship with her? As Wade is suffering under Higa's instigation, Raeliana tries to escape, but she is easily caught by Noah, who calls her over. Just then, her brooch calls the attention of Higa, and some weird light starts radiating from it as it cracks. The gem explodes, and Noah lurches forward as fast as he can. In an instant, he is holding her while the brooch floats in the hands of a now adult-looking Higa. Well, hello there. He's super chill when he once more asks if she can call him Grandpa now. And I will not make a comment about this because I will be canceled for indecency. The now fine-looking Higa explains that the gem on Raeliana's head is very difficult to obtain, and then proceeds to study Noah, asking him what his relationship with his Raeliana is. Yours? Asks Noah with a cold expression. Do you have a problem with answering me? Asks Higa. Why, I like this interaction a lot for some reason. Noah smiles his Noah smile as he says they're engaged, which Higa does not care for since married women can't work in his field. Noah tells him he'd like to make a donation to the temple, saying, "My fiancé," again and again just to spite him. And boy, does it work. Wade breaks off the tension to talk about the donation, and after that is done, Noah instructs Adam to get knights to watch over Raeliana, given the event that just took place. Raeliana herself is shaking in her room. She nearly just died. Is it really her fate to just die in this world? Can she really not change it? She is startled by a hand placed on her shoulder, but it turns out to be Noah. He tells her that Francis and Jake are dead, and so Raeliana infers that the whole jail thing was a lie. Noah had taken care of them. So, it was not them. Noah asks who it is that wants her dead, and when Raeliana says she doesn't know, he gets even more serious, saying he doesn't care if she did something bad, he has to know who's after her. He's desperate as he grabs her tightly by the hand, insisting. Seeing that he won't be reasonable anymore, Raeliana grabs him by the collar and throws him into the purification bath water. Noah finally comes back to his senses, asking himself why he became so irrational. Still, he can't help getting close to her again and tells her he lost his temper because when he thought that he might lose her, he thought that he'd go crazy. He leaves right after that, leaving a confused and perplexed Raeliana behind. He's finally noticing the changes within himself. The following day is the day of the torch lighting ceremony, and Raeliana is ignoring Noah due to the whole scene we just witnessed. Higa himself is conducting the ceremony, which is very unusual, and takes the opportunity to insist on her calling him grandfather. Although she initially refuses again, she finally agrees, and so he gives her the torch, and the ceremony takes place without issues. After this, Raeliana and Noah finally return to the capital, and though Higa wants to follow them, Wade hangs on to his clothes, saying he can't just run around however he likes, making Raeliana shed a grateful tear for him. A while after all of these events took place, the head of the Shamal family is reproaching Justin Shamal, Vivian's older brother and heir to the family, for his playboy nature and questionable actions with unknown women. Why are we just getting bombarded with hot guys from everywhere today? I get why he's a playboy. He's got the material. Anyway, his father tells him to visit Vivian, who has locked herself in her room and is super stressed. Justin wonders why, and when he gets to her room, he finds her screaming at someone, saying it was all their fault and how would they handle it. When she comes out of the room, blood drips from her closed fist, and as she leaves, a very surprised Justin greets the person she was talking to, who smiles and introduces herself as Beatrice. Oh boy, this can't be good. Raeliana is thoughtful as she watches Noah practice with the sword, and has to smack herself in the face to get back to her senses after looking at his sparking face. She tells him she wants to learn the sword, and he says it's a good idea, but tracing lightly over her hands, he says her hands might get injured. So he shows her a move that will help her be safe, and keeps her hands looking pretty at the same time, and basically flexes with an inhuman move. Raeliana just smiles sweetly at him, asking if this is something ordinary people can do, and he smiles and says yes. A lie. Raeliana says she just wants a teacher, and he says he'll do the job, while all of the knights behind him signal for her not to accept at any cost. She follows their wise advice, and says she just won't learn. So Noah suggests they do something else, and takes her to a jewelry store, seating her in a chair in front of all the pretty gems, and being very close to her, as they basically tease each other with their words. A new knight is escorting them, and he is frozen in place by what he's looking at, while Ansley can only sigh. Raeliana is shown loads and loads of jewelry, and overwhelmed, she says it's all really pretty, hoping to leave soon, and they do. Right after Noah decides to take just about everything in the store, putting one of the necklaces on her himself. Raeliana blushes as she reminds herself not to falter, not to fall. This self-restraint woman. However do you manage? I could never. Back at home, Haley, Raeliana's maid, comes over before leaving for a vacation Raeliana allowed for Thanksgiving, which she's very grateful about. Before leaving, she gives a lot of instructions to Raeliana because she's worried about her well-being, and lastly tells her not to look in the mirror in the library room, since it is rumored that a soul is trapped in it. If you look at the mirror and you see eyes looking back at you, a voice will speak to you and tell you anything you wish to know, and Haley can't say much more before she's told to pack to leave for her holidays. This, of course, has shaken Raeliana quite a bit, but the promise of knowing anything? She really wants to know where Beatrice is. So at night, she goes over to the room, and though freaked out, finds the mirror and takes a look at it. She seems to see something in it, but as a hand reaches for her from behind, she drops the mirror and it shatters on the ground. It was Noah, and Raeliana is very shaken, saying she just saw a ghost. Of course, Noah does not believe her and just stares at her, but she insists, grabbing onto him as she tells him to exorcise the room. She asks why he's there, and he says he forgot something, and Raeliana holds onto him even tighter as she asks if he'll leave now. He finds it really cute how she's scared and holding on to him, and he grabs her hand as he leads her back to her room. Raeliana smiles, because he doesn't grab anything from the room. He hadn't forgotten anything, he'd just been worried about her and went to look for her. Once in her room, he says he'll stay with her till she falls asleep, and she says okay, grabbing a pillow to sleep on the couch so he can have the bed. Of course, this won't do for him, so he calls her over to the bed, saying it's not their first time. Raeliana drops the pillow, super embarrassed, and Noah just shrugs with a wicked smile. She finally agrees, and Noah picks up a romance book she was reading to pass the time. Raeliana thinks he won't be interested, but apparently he likes it, and they strike up a conversation about it, with Raeliana being all excited, but Noah tells her to go to sleep. Somehow she does. How is a mystery. I would not be able to sleep with such a handsome man next to me like that, but our female lead has superpowers. In her sleep, she grabs onto him and smiles, and Noah can't do anything but fall back and cover his troubled face, thinking he must indeed be going crazy. Finally, we get a glimpse of the King of the Kingdom, Noah's brother, when his aide, Countess Naomi O'Brien, abruptly wakes him up after spending a passionate night with a woman. The woman scurries away after Naomi points her in the direction of an exit. She is used to this by now. The king and Naomi exchange some words, and you can see that he is more casual and easygoing than Noah, who appears in the room with Keith. Beatrice the king pours a drink to celebrate that their whole new old aristocrats plan worked, and he can now use the royal seal again and have both factions stand on equal terms. Remember that political plot? I was so invested in the romance that I kind of forgot that was a whole thing. Beatrice comments on how it appears to be that Noah got himself a fiancé while he recovered from a poisoning attempt. Noah explains the reason for his engagement, and his brother tells him to end it, now that the whole issue which led him to it has been solved. Noah hesitates, and Naomi and Beatrice stare at him in shock. Is he actually interested in her? In someone at all? He says Raeliana still has a job to do as his fiancé, and Beatrice can't help but think his brother is dull in one area, at least. Back in the mansion, Raeliana receives a letter from Hika, who rambles on about how great he is and how she must visit him, which she instantly burns. She then reads the newspaper, and upon reading the news that the issue with the whole royal seal was being solved, she remembers. The day before it was all resolved, Beatrice showed up at the former duke's grave, where the seal was hidden, and met Noah for the first time. So Raeliana rides there at full speed. However, when she arrives, she only finds a blonde man and no blonde girl. We know this man is Justin Shamal, and seeing her so flustered, he offers her a seat next to him on the ground to catch her breath. Even though he doesn't know her, he explains he was friends with the previous duke and invites her to drink with him in his honor, even though his grave was moved to the Windnight estate. The move was not in the story, and Raeliana deducts that Noah moved the grave after she told him she knew where the seal was. She drinks with Justin, who smiles at her warmly. They talk in a friendly manner, smiling and laughing, and though they don't know who the other is, Raeliana tells him the reason for her being there was to meet a friend who was supposed to be with her fiancé so that she could introduce them. Justin doesn't understand the situation entirely, but he tells Raeliana that she should do stuff for herself and not others, since she can only live once. Her love and destiny are what she claims for herself. Raeliana thinks about this for a bit and smiles, because he is right. She wonders why she feels so comfortable around Justin, who she's never met before. Is it because he's almost as handsome as Noah? Since it's getting late, he offers to escort her back, but she refuses as she can't be seen with an unknown man in front of her house like this. They smile at each other and part ways, and thinking that she was beautiful, Justin says it would be worth meeting her again. It seems that staying out till so late with no coat took its toll on Raeliana, who is now home with a cold. As she sits in front of a fireplace, she thinks again about how the story is changing because of her. It is then that Noah arrives, but Raeliana can't really tell him what she was doing outside because she was basically trying to introduce her fiancé to another woman. He gets closer to her and realizes she took some alcohol, which she was given to her because apparently it was good for the cold. Since Raeliana can't seem to be able to get up on her own, Noah lifts her up with ease and starts carrying her to her room. Raeliana is unsure of the situation, but ends up going along with it. Her heart pounds so fast, but it must be because she's drunk, she thinks. She holds on to Noah, wondering why he's being so nice to her, and as he places her on the bed, he grabs her hand, saying she hasn't finished talking to him. She tells him that lately she feels like she cares about him. Noah is speechless for a minute, but then tells her she'll get better in no time because colds go away when you give them to someone else. And so, saying it's only because she's sick, he kisses her as she falls asleep. Guys! Ah! I was not expecting this! Okay, I will continue. In the palace, Beatrice has called Keith over to trouble him with the following matter. He wants to see Raeliana, just to see how she is, and to do so they must go behind Noah's back because he surely won't allow it himself. Keith is unable to refuse, and leaves almost in tears knowing that the king only wants to do this for fun. Raeliana is all better from her cold, but she does not remember anything about the kiss. which amuses but also bothers Noah a bit. Still, of course, he won't tell her about it. He tells her to rest in her room to finish recovering, but she's unable to, since moments later Keith arrives to supposedly escort her to see Noah, who has called on her again. Of course, this is all a lie, and Raeliana can see that he's all nervous, but she still tags along and is taken right to an audience with King Beatrice. The king smiles at her and she tries to leave, but Naomi closes the door behind her. Now trapped, Raeliana bows in front of him, and Beatrice tells her to take a seat, apologizing for deceiving her, but Noah would have never allowed him to see her. She notices the Go board on the table, which is a game Raeliana knows how to play from her original world, and is very rare in this one. Noticing she knows it, the king and her play around, and while at it, end up discussing political affairs, which Raeliana says she knows about because she's the daughter of a merchant, so she can pick up on such things. Even though they're talking, she wins the game, and the king, who says he's never lost before, tells her she'll have to be his teacher until he wins. Raeliana is very confused by these turn of events and tries to get out of it, but Beatrice is firm, saying he's the king. Since he might want lessons at any time, she is to stay in the palace for the time being, so no going back to Noah. To be honest, I think he just says this to annoy his little brother. Although he says it's 'cause love has to suffer a little before blossoming fully. Yeah, I still think he just wants to bother him. Both Raeliana and Noah fidget with their rings, as they think it should be fine if it's only for a few days, but their expressions seem to have more to them than that. On one of those days, Beatrice takes Raeliana through some passages, pranking her with not knowing the way, and they arrive at a beautiful place, in which he once more pranks her, telling she's been the only one to ever been allowed there, so she'll feel burdened. Poor Raeliana, bullied by both brothers. They really are birds of a feather. Beatrice, who has sustained an injury in the past and needs a cane to walk due to a limp, drops his cane, but Raeliana does not pick it up. He comments on this, saying she's the first person ever to not do so, to which she says he would not like her to. Indeed, she is right, and Beatrice reveals that though he initially brought her over just to have fun, he has come to like her. Not in a romantic way, though. Raeliana has received, amongst many bothersome invitations, an invitation to meet with Price. You see, the Iratil family had put a woman, Sorso, as concubine to Beatrice, and she had given birth to his son, Seymour, the first prince of the kingdom. Yeah, that dude we just saw is actually a father. Price is married to Sorso's brother, who is hungry for power and will likely use his newborn nephew to rise in the ranks of nobility. So Noah wanted Raeliana to get close to her to learn what families had connections with the Iritils to see who could be a threat to the current power. Due to the novel, Raeliana already knows it's the Larkin family, but since she can't straight up reveal it, she'll have to meet with Price a few times first to pretend to know. Besides, if she reveals it now, all her usefulness will be gone and, well, the engagement will be broken, which she's having mixed feelings about. She tries to shake herself out of them, but alas, a maiden's heart cannot be shaken. Why am I narrating like this? On the other hand, Noah is extremely tired and wonders if it's because he hasn't seen Raeliana in so long. He pays a visit to the palace and they see each other across a window. They start writing to each other in the window, and can I just say, this is so cute. They smile at each other, and before Raeliana is quickly called away by Beatrice, she tells Noah to come pick her up soon since she's waiting for him, which leaves an iceberg-melting smile on Noah's gorgeous face. It's yet another day at the palace, and Beatrice takes Raeliana out for a walk after lending a cape of his so that she's not cold. I'm telling you, for a king, he's got an awful lot of free time. Beatrice asks Raeliana if she likes being in the palace, and tells her that she'll be exhausted after her engagement to her brother is done, since she'll be getting an endless number of suitors. Raeliana realizes the king knows of her deal to Noah, and he asks her what she plans on doing after the deal is over. He comments that Noah seems to be so madly in love with her it will be hard for her to get him to let her go, to which Raeliana is very puzzled, wearing an expression similar to Noah's "whatever are you talking about" face. So Beatrice offers her to work for him after the contract ends. And as she leaves, Raeliana has a troubled expression while thinking that after the deal is done, she'll surely have to get married, but not to Noah, to someone else. Just then, she encounters a mysterious person in the palace halls. It's Whitney, one of Noah's knights. Dressed like a maid? Huh? Apparently Noah sent him to recover Raeliana and bring her over to the mansion, and Whitney is very confident on his skills of being able to pass off as a maid, saying he's done it several times before. Okay, Whitney. Raeliana technically needs permission from Beatrice to leave, but he won't allow it. So this is her chance to get back home to Noah, who is waiting for her. Still, their plans are ruined by the sudden appearance of Sorso, Beatrice's first concubine and mother to his child. Still can't believe that this dude is a father, by the way. Sorso acts all polite, but as most noble women in this world, she's actually a calculating and manipulative woman. She invites Raeliana to her wing of the palace, and of course, Raeliana can't refuse. So she sends Whitney, who was actually not caught away, and off she goes to suffer under the scrutinizing stare of noble ladies. Of course, Sorso's friends don't like Raeliana, a new aristocrat, to be on the center of society, so they do everything in their power to make her have a bad time. Once back in her room, Whitney tells her that they'll depart the following night in secret. Escaping proved to be too difficult. What with Sorso calling Raeliana over often, and Beatrice tightening security just in case. So one night, disguised as a maid, Raeliana has to jump through some terraces in the palace to reach the ground and escape. But as soon as she tries to get to the terrace under her, she realizes it's too far down and ends up dangling from the balcony. An amused voice can be heard from below, telling her to let go and they'll catch her. Raeliana is wary, but she can't hold on any longer, and so she falls and is caught by... Justin? What? It's not Noah? I have been clickbaited. Apparently, Justin had been waiting for a woman who'd given him a note and was just passing by. However, by his expression, he seems to be troubled. He assumes Raeliana works in the palace because of her outfit and asks if she can bring him a drink. Since she can't reveal her identity, she goes and fetches some, leaving a note for him saying that he should drink with a friend if he's feeling down, and unknowingly leaving her engagement ring as well, since it fell to the floor as it was too big for her finger. Justin picks it up, reads the note, and smiles. Another day, another frustrated attempt at an escape. Raeliana is attending another one of Sorso's gatherings, and this time Price is in attendance as well. Of course, the other ladies still try to embarrass Raeliana, this time by bringing up the architectural topic, of which they are sure Raeliana knows nothing. However, they do not know that Gideon, the mansion's butler, has very passionately told Raeliana everything about the matter, and so she schools them with no issue. That's our female lead for you. Price admires Raeliana's strength, saying that she and Countess Chloe Larkin had to go through a similar situation in the past. Chloe Larkin. That is the connection Raeliana was looking for. A connection with the Larkin family. Apparently, Chloe is from a fallen family and had to marry into the Larkin family. But the marriage seems an unhappy one, since it's rumored that while Chloe had to leave her lover to enter the marriage, her current husband has just taken on a new mistress. Given this gap, she might be useful in the future. Back in her room, Raeliana has received a strange dress and invitation from another wing of the palace. And while Whitney does not know much about it, she decides to go, only to find out it's a very inappropriate place. And who does she meet there? None other than Justin. Wow, he really is a playboy, huh? She tries to pretend she's someone else and tries to leave, but Justin can't let such a suspicious person wander around the palace. After all, she was just a maid, and now she's a noble at a secret party? He says that even if she's a thief, he'll let her go because they're old drinking buddies. Again, Raeliana asks to be let go, but Justin is unresponsive. He's stunned, looking at none other than Chloe Larkin herself. So, Justin was Chloe's ex-lover, and Chloe was the person Justin was looking for that night. Chloe calls out to him, but just when Raeliana is about to get away, He says he's found someone new and holds on to our female lead. Chloe chokes up, and sensing that Justin is wavering, Raeliana decides to hold on to him and run away to save him from himself, since she owes him from that day at the cemetery. Away they run, and after thanking her, Justin starts explaining his story. He was in love with Chloe, but being from a fallen family, his father did not approve. And well, Chloe did need to marry into a better position for her family, so she ended up marrying Count Larkin. Broken-hearted, Justin went away for 2 years, and upon returning found a note from her saying she wanted to see him. But when he went to find her, he found Raeliana. Raeliana tells him he should start seeing other people since he's too young to be hung up on someone like that. Girl, you know you're going to give him ideas about you, right? You have to be more clear. There will be a misunderstanding. Anyway, Raeliana now knows who Justin is, but he does not know who she is at all, and she won't tell him. With a sparkling Raeliana smile, our female lead leaves, telling him that if they're fated to meet again, they will. And as Justin fidgets with the ring he didn't return, he says he feels like it will be so. Raeliana is sick and tired of being locked up in the palace. So she asks Beatrice if he wants to play a game, and he accepts. If she wins, she'll finally be allowed to leave. But Beatrice being Beatrice, he makes it difficult and disguises Raeliana, telling her the game is for Noah to find her dressed like that in a masquerade ball, because supposedly, that's what love is all about. Much to Raeliana's surprise, he was right. Even though they're both unrecognizable, they find each other right away while the king laughs from the terrace as he watches over. Still, his shenanigans are not over yet. Oh no, far from over they are, as Beatrice announces to everyone in attendance that whoever catches Raeliana and brings her over to him before midnight will be rewarded. Both Noah and Raeliana curse at him, and in an instant, Noah has Raeliana hoisted up over his shoulder as he makes a run for it while being chased by a huge crowd. They run and finally hide under the clock tower with only 10 minutes left until midnight. They get to talking, and Raeliana finds out he knew how to climb up there because he used to play there with his brother when they were kids. They used to play a lot, and Beatrice was the only one who really did anything fun with Noah. His mother was obsessed with power, and the only time he saw her smile was the day she poisoned Beatrice so that Noah could ascend to the throne. He was horrified by this, and by all this power struggle. So on that day, he had promised to make his brother the king. Raeliana holds Noah's hand while she tells him that was not his fault. The clock is about to strike midnight, and Raeliana is happy that she'll be able to go home, when her head starts spinning and everything goes black. What is going on? The last thing she sees is Noah worriedly calling out to her. And the first thing she sees upon opening her eyes is Noah sitting next to her in bed, asleep. Her body feels heavy, but she touches his head, and the minute she does, he gets up. Noah stares at her with an indescribable expression, which makes her smile. She tries to drink some water, but she doesn't have the strength to pick up the cup. How long was she unconscious for? Still, Noah is impatient and takes a drink of water and gives it to her. With his mouth? Oh, wow! Raeliana is as surprised as we are, but Noah goes in for a kiss, relieved at her waking up. And under his touch, Raeliana can do nothing but melt away. As would I, given the opportunity, the privilege, the honor. It seems that Raeliana has been unconscious for a very long time. Countless priests went to aid her, but there was no case. Noah was about to lose it, and that's when Hika showed up. Even though he was initially told to leave because people thought he was Noah's love rival, given how good-looking he is, he was the one who saved her. Raeliana and Noah are interrupted by one of the footmen, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Poor guy. Even though Noah is quite pissed, he leaves to solve whatever issue has arisen. This gives Raeliana some time to think, and blush madly. That doesn't last long because Hika barges into the room the second he learns that she has woken up. with Noah demanding to know what he did to her. Even in this situation, Noah and Hika start bickering over Raeliana with poor Wade in the middle. Raeliana decides to take her time while this goes on, stretching and drinking some water. She finally stops him to find out how long she's been unconscious for, and apparently, it was 10 days. However, Raeliana is still more shocked about the kiss with Noah than about her own condition. It is now obvious to her that Noah likes her, but she is not the main character of this story. Will Beatrice ever appear? And if she does, will Noah stop liking her and love Beatrice instead? All of this makes her worry. It makes her anxious. When will it all come to an end? Raeliana admits to herself that she likes Noah too, but not enough to suffer from all this uncertainty. She regrets reaching out to him in the first place. Oh, Raeliana, no! Don't think like that! Noah is truly the one for you. While on her way to see Noah, Raeliana encounters Adam, who has just returned from a trip in search of the person responsible for the exploding brooch incident with no results. He thoroughly checks up on Raeliana to make sure she's okay, and thinking it's something from his culture, she attempts to do the same to him, much to his astonishment. Raeliana finally meets up with Noah, and she goes straight to the point. "Noah, do you like me?" she asks. He stares at her with cold eyes for a second, and then smiles as he calls her over. Raeliana is confused, but then Noah grabs her hand and kisses it, and she knows what he's about to say. She puts her hands over his mouth, stopping him. If he said he likes her, she'd fall hopelessly in love instantly. He's that handsome. Girl, I get you. I really do. So to save herself the trouble, she starts talking on and on about the Larkin family, which is what Noah had wanted to know, and says they are even now, so the deal is over. Raeliana attempts to leave, but Noah catches her by the wrist, asking, "What if I don't want the deal to be over?" She asks him to be let go, but he refuses, saying their contract has not yet expired since there's still some time left on it. Raeliana turns with surprise as Noah pleads for her to give him a change. Is this the Noah we know? He looks so keen and concerned. I'm totally digging this. Imagine being pursued by such a handsome guy. Eee! All of this was just witnessed by Hika, who snickers creepily over how embarrassing that must all have been for Noah. The next day, Hika gives a public speech about church stuff because he does have to somehow justify his visit to Chalmers. He can't just leave the Holy Land for no reason. Wade calls Raeliana over after it's done because Hika wants to speak with her privately. And on their way over, Wade basically says that Hika is annoying and unbearable, but that he's also very lonely and that he really likes her, which is something very new to him. Aw, Wade really does look up to him even with all of what he puts him through. Once in Hika's room, the Pope is already back to his child form, and after insisting on being called Grandpa again, he gets to the point, asking Raeliana what she has done. Raeliana is confused, but Hika explains that given his blessing, she shouldn't have ever fallen ill, but she got a cold and then got unconscious. It's like her body is rejecting his power, as if her soul were defying her body. After seeing her vexed expression, Hika tells her to tell him what's wrong, and reassuringly grabs her hand, telling her anything she says will be fine. So, she gives in. She tells him everything, that she's not from this world, who she really is, and Hika takes it really well. He explains that in Catholicism, there is a belief that the soul travels down a predetermined path, and that it seems that hers was lost on that journey for some reason, reaching Raeliana's body. He comforts her, saying it all must have been very hard on her own while patting her head, and then hugs her, which she returns after a bit. It is then that Noah walks into the room, and disliking the scene, he snatches her out of his arms and into his, taking her away from the room. Oh my, he really is unrestrained after his talk with Raeliana last night. Hika is angered, of course, but not for much, because he's sure they'll break up after what he overheard last night. He knows Raeliana will be going out that night and plans on joining her there. Noah finally lets Raeliana go, and she tells him not to do that anymore, which he blatantly refuses to do, since he's her fiancé and he can do what he wants to. Raeliana reminds him that it's only for show, but Noah tells her she shouldn't be hugging with another man in front of him. He teases Raeliana as per usual, and she acts like she usually does, finally letting go of the awkwardness between them. Noah is happy about this because if she keeps on avoiding him, he won't get a chance to win her heart. She is struck by this comment and refuses to take his hand as she heads to meet with Hika again to stroll through town. Our gorgeous Noah is left alone with an empty hand. I could never. And so Raeliana and Hika meet up, but Noah of course tags along, making the Pope furious. They start arguing as per usual, and Hika almost removes his seal to fight him, but Raeliana stops him by calling him Grandpa. He is pleased, of course, but the crowd around them is confused as Hika looks like a child, and Raeliana just wants to fade away from embarrassment. Hika and Raeliana are enjoying their time together and having fun, as this is the first time they both experience this kind of thing when a stall owner calls over Raeliana to play a game. She has to shoot 50 targets to get it, but the prize is a magical bear which Raeliana finds to be really cute, so she really wants it. Hitting 50 targets seems like a lot, but the stall owner tells her that she'll get other dolls just for playing, though they look sketchy as Fruit Loops. Still, Raeliana really wants the magical bear and surprises the owner by stating she'll be the one to play. As expected, our female lead starts hitting one target after the other with ease, which enables Hika to mock Noah and Adam, who supposedly came along with the excuse of protecting her. She clearly needs no protection at all. However, Noah proves himself useful when one of the viewers starts insulting Raeliana because he lost a bet to another man that she wouldn't keep on hitting the targets, and the Duke gives him a nice talk. He probably won't sleep that night. The stall owner starts panicking. Raeliana is not supposed to be able to win this. Nobody is. The game is rigged. He tries to persuade her to stop, telling her there's a very interesting place a few blocks away with really good prizes. But she has to go now if she wants to enter. Raeliana smiles. She plans on going, but that's after she gets the bear, which she does. The stall owner plummets to the ground as he watches his best prize leave in the arms of Raeliana, and Hika says he was destined for failure because of his deceitful ways. He starts arguing, but a mysterious hand silences him by striking him in the back as our party leaves to their next destination. They all go to the place the stall owner had told Raeliana about before, only for it to turn out to be a brothel, which earns him yet another strike to the head when they leave immediately. The party goes to watch a play, and Raeliana laughs while she enjoys herself. Noah, who is looking at her, thinks she's cute, and he's shocked with himself for having those kind of thoughts, which I think is cute. Just then, someone bumps into Noah, and he helps her pick up her things after they fall. However, when he looks at her, it's Beatrice. Is this their fated first encounter as told in the original novel? Woman, stay away! He's Raeliana's, and if she leaves him, he's mine, so out you go. Noah feels strange upon looking at her. He has an unsettling sensation, which better not be love at first sight, boy. Beatrice leaves without telling him her name, or anything actually, and meets up with Justin, who seems to be escorting her that evening. Why did she suddenly show up? Why did Noah make that face? We need answers! But we won't be getting any. The play is over, and Raeliana didn't notice anything. She and Hika walk as they talk far away from Noah and Adam. She is very happy because she was able to tell her secret to someone else, and he smiles as he says he'll listen to her anytime, which is honestly so wholesome. The cute moment is cut short by Hika, though, when he tells Raeliana that her body is not yet healed. Her soul keeps on being rejected by her body, and if she collapses again, she might not wake up. He says he'll try to get answers in ancient Catholic scripts, since they describe something similar to her situation. But it'll take a while because he's currently on tour, and he won't be able to check them till it ends. He is concerned about the fact that she doesn't have any of Raeliana's memories from before she entered the body, and can't remember anything from when she was pushed in her previous world. Even more so because there are traces of dark magic in her. Raeliana is worried, but he comforts her, and gives her the bell that seals his power, saying that this should do a better job at protecting her since it's full of his holy power. Thank you, Hika, for protecting our Raeliana, and for letting us see your handsome adult face once more. The next day arrives and the Pope must leave, but he blesses Raeliana with a kiss on the forehead before doing so, which she returns with a kiss on the cheek. A very annoyed Noah looks from behind them as Hika tells him to break up with her soon. The Pope leaves and Raeliana feels a bit upset, but is suddenly distracted by Noah grabbing her head and wiping her forehead where Hika blessed her. This is hysterical. To add to our amusement, the next morning, Noah asks the butler again and again about Raeliana while she gets ready. He's obsessed, I'm telling you. After the maids finish with her outfit, they comment that they have not seen Raeliana wear her engagement ring for a while. And this is when she realizes it's gone. It only took what, 3 to 4 weeks? Gosh, girl. She searches for it frantically, but it is nowhere to be found. Just then, the butler knocks on her door, and an impatient Noah makes his appearance, looking swoon-worthy as always. Raeliana has to literally remind herself that he is supposed to be someone else's man to keep her composure. Raeliana clearly keeps her distance from him, being quite cold as though she does not want to get more involved. And though Noah is visibly upset, he thinks it's enough for now. She leaves with Adam to the palace to keep on looking for the ring there. It's so expensive that her whole family would be in ruins if she had to repay Noah for it. On the way, she makes a comment like, "It'd be better if I just died like this," because of the loss of the ring, which is of course an exaggeration. But sweet, sweet Adam gets worried about it and grabs her face, telling her he does not like for her to talk like that. Raeliana realizes it was inconsiderate of her to speak of such things in front of him and apologizes to him, although she does worry what will happen to her if she doesn't find the ring. She searches for it as soon as she gets to the palace, but she won't find it easily, since it was Justin who picked it up. Speaking of whom, the captain of the night guard loiters around, not really doing his job, saying he's following his fate as he stares at the famous ring, when he suddenly sees her as she tries to catch something flying out a window. He acts all smooth, asking her if she'll spare him some of her time if he finds what she's looking for. Raeliana is very surprised to see he has the ring, and he tells her to stay where she is so he can go to her. While Justin's friend Nathan, who witnessed it all, is sure he's seen the woman Justin so clearly seems to be pursuing, but he can't recall where. Justin goes to where Raeliana is, and she's very thankful for him finding it, thinking he's basically a kind angel that saved her. But it all changes when he suddenly says he never said he was just going to hand it over. Raeliana is shocked to say the least. What does he mean? What does he want? Justin smiles cutely as he says he'll give the ring back to Raeliana if she has a meal with him, but she refuses, saying that he clearly has ulterior motives. Apparently, Justin does not care even a bit about the fact that she has a fiancé, and even asks her to be his fake lover to keep Chloe Larkin away. He asks for her name again, and she says that when she tells him, he'll definitely want to give the ring back. She gives him her full name, but the aloof Justin has no idea who she is, so she tells him her fiancé is Duke Windknight. That's when Justin's expression turns somber for the first time. Justin had heard from the king that Noah had a fiancé and that he loved her, but was he only pretending and Raeliana is actually being cheated on? She did say her fiancé had a lover. Raeliana asks for the ring back, but with his signature smile back, Justin insists on having a meal together. He is quite persuasive, saying she won't find someone as handsome as the Duke other than him, and that she can do it for the ring, not because she likes him. Dude, I think this is pretty scummy of you. You're extorting her and she clearly is not interested. Our female lead knows her standards, so she refuses and tells him to keep the ring. She'll just tell Noah she lost it. No matter the circumstances, she is Noah's fiancé and she won't do anything to dishonor that. Without wanting to back away, Justin suggests that they be friends. Raeliana is surprised by this, but just then one of the king's attendants comes to pick her up. Apparently, Beatrice found out she was in the palace, even though she did her best to hide it. As she leaves, she tells Justin they can be friends, and he beams as she walks through the door, even though his petition for a friendship hug, yeah sure, is declined. That day, Raeliana gets back to the mansion super late because the king kept her playing a game all afternoon, and Noah is ready to welcome her home. She is still trying to put a certain distance between them, but agrees to take a walk with him. Raeliana tells him she wants to go home, and Noah's grip on her hand tightens reflexively. She explains that she wants to see her family, but secretly, she also wants to find out about the original Raeliana and what she was up to before she possessed her body. Raeliana says she'd run away if he refused, but he says he'll catch her as many times as necessary because he doesn't really want to send her away. He says this with a smile that could melt a quarter of the North Pole, which makes Raeliana run away. But not before Noah notices her blushing madly. Looking at that face, he is stuck as he starts to think that maybe she has feelings for him too. Indeed, Raeliana goes back to her parents' house where her mother lovingly dries her hair for her while she talks about how well she's grown up. It is obvious how much she cares for her as she asks about how she's being treated in Noah's house, saying that she was worried about her, even more so since it seemed like she had suddenly changed from one day to the other. Raeliana awkwardly laughs that off, but takes the opportunity to ask her how she was acting before that change, although her mother does not remember anything being off. So she calls her main maid from back when she lived in the mansion, Vivian. This proves to be the best decision, since Vivian does remember something being weird. Apparently, the original Raeliana used to go out frequently and in secret, not even telling her where she went. She does know she took a carriage to go there, so she goes to the stables to look for the next clue. She's turning out to be quite the Sherlock, our female lead. The stable keeper does remember driving her out often, but he doesn't know exactly where she went since she asked to be left in front of the marketplace. She asks to be taken there right away, but upon arrival, Raeliana still doesn't remember anything from the original owner. So she asks where she usually went, and the stable keeper points to a very sketchy alley. What was that Raeliana up to? In goes our current Raeliana, and things are not looking better as she walks further and further into the back streets. Still, a woman seems to recognize her, saying she used to buy something when she passed by in the past, and Raeliana buys whatever it is, asking where she used to go since she's lost. The old woman says she went to a fortune teller's house and gives her the address. Right then, Justin Shamal suddenly appears. And thank goodness he does, because it seems some shady people were targeting her. He says he had to work in that area as he's investigating a case and says he'll escort her to wherever she wants to go since the place is dangerous. She arrives to the fortune teller's and goes in alone. While Justin waits outside, he calls out someone that was following them. It turns out to be Whitney, one of Noah's knights, who Noah apparently sent to look after her. Aww, our male lead is caring for her even from far away. Whitney asks Justin who he is, and of course, he decides to do whatever he wants and says he's Raeliana's secret lover. Whitney's life nearly leaves his body and begins to run over to where Raeliana is, but Justin says it's a joke, and then says he's a friend, regretfully. The regretfully throws Whitney in a panic again, but Justin stops him once more and introduces himself as captain of the Royal Guards. He tells him he'll escort Raeliana back home so he can leave, which he doesn't want to do. But upon Justin's insistence, he must give in because otherwise they'll end up clashing swords, and he's under strict orders not to get caught by our female lead. Speaking of which, she stands in front of the fortune teller's room, but it's locked, and a neighbor says she died a while back, which was odd since she had just gotten a big noble as a client and said she'd even gone to the palace. Another neighbor doubts the story, but the rumor says she went to aid with the birth of the prince, and Raeliana instantly knows it was Soroso who used magic because she was upset that she had not been considered for the position of queen. She must have erased the evidence by killing the fortune teller, but why did the original Raeliana go there? With no answers, Raeliana goes back home, but her mother has gone out to a luncheon for charity. She returns fuming, though, and tells Raeliana to follow her to the dress shop. She is super passive-aggressive as she demands to see dresses. Apparently, she's holding a big tea party, and Raeliana must win tomorrow. Raeliana is very scared about whatever her mother is talking about, but she says she'll do her best under her insistent stare. Honestly, I am all for the mother's character. I want a spin-off with her and Raeliana's father's story. Apparently, this is all because of a feud Raeliana's mother is having with a lady called Mrs. Austen. This society is male-dominated. Yuck. And though Beatrice is trying to change it, women can't really study much or do anything. So Mrs. Austen, who has 3 sons, thinks she's superior to Raeliana's mother, who has 2 daughters. Like, honestly, I don't understand this mentality. Why women would drag other women down for these reasons is beyond me, and is a loss for the whole gender. But, okay. A war starts between the 2 ladies, all with polite words, but it's actually quite savage. Mrs. Austen's oldest son approaches Raeliana amidst all of this with a silly smile that already tells me he's a hole where the sun don't shine, which is promptly proved by his winking at her when she tries to get the mothers to stop arguing with each other. This is all put to a stop when Noah, our beloved Noah, shows up and greets Raeliana's mother with all of his shining beauty, which of course means an instant fatality for Mrs. Austen. After the party is done, Noah basically says he missed her and that though it's only been 3 days, it's time for her to come back home with him. Home. A home for her only, not for the original Raeliana whose presence she's felt more than ever these last few days. So she does go with him to her new home. She falls asleep along the way and ends up on Noah's lap. Noah smoothly tells the driver to slow down and take a while to get to the mansion. And by the time Raeliana wakes up, it's already nighttime. She's so embarrassed and even more worried that she might have drooled, so she starts patting Noah's thigh to confirm it's not wet. Noah advises her that she should probably stop that right now, which made Raeliana realize just what she's doing and become even more embarrassed. She rushes out of the carriage and into the house, where the staff all look at her. She doesn't understand why, and then Whitney comes over crying, but he is promptly taken away by Adam. Apparently the whole house knows there's issues between the couple. Raeliana goes to her room with a ceiling different than the one back at her parents' house that was painted for the previous Raeliana, and she feels at peace. On a later date, Raeliana decides to go to the Midnight Library to look for clues about her condition, but there's nothing. She is about to fall from a large shelf when Noah arrives, ready to catch her. Getting down on her own, Noah takes her to another section of the library with more books, but she still can't find anything on New Catholicism, which is what she's researching. Noah says that the only 2 places with more books on this subject other than his mansion are the Academy, where women cannot enter, and the Palace Library, for which you need a special pass to access. And would you believe who has a pass? Noah holds the pass up high and tells Raeliana that if she wants it, she has to go to dinner with him to a restaurant. Like, really? All them men be extorting Raeliana for a meal with her. This time, it works though, and Raeliana agrees to go, earning herself a super cute smile from Noah. So Raeliana goes to the Royal Library, where a clearly sleep-deprived guy leads her to the section on Catholicism. But as she goes by, she sees a man, Count Bennett. She remembers from the novel that he had tried to poison Beatrice and was arrested, but can't remember much else at the moment. Bennett despises the Winnights, and he's already been discovered as a traitor, so it's only a matter of time before he falls. But he plans on taking someone with him. Beatrice's baby, the first prince. Well, that's seriously messed up. He takes out the guarding knight and is about to take the baby when he's struck in the head by our female lead, who takes the first prince away, having remembered that in the original story, he was the one who murdered the baby. She runs and runs for her life with Bennett behind her, and she makes it to a closet in which she hides. She has to wait in silence until someone arrives. She did tell the librarian to send someone after her, but she doesn't have that much time. She begs for the child not to cry as she almost holds her breath. Bennett drives a stick through the cupboard and misses them, but Raeliana is relieved because that means he'll think they're not there. Just then, the baby looks at Raeliana with the look. He's about to cry. She tries to stop him, but a single cry escapes from him before she can do anything. He knows they're there. Raeliana waits right until he's about to open the door and opens it herself to push him away, running for her life. He's right behind her, every step, every second. How long will she be able to run ahead? She's scared. She's terrified. She calls for Noah in her mind when... there he is! Our male lead stands before her, and with the coldest look ever, he covers her eyes, unsheaths his sword, and takes care of Bennett with one swing. Noah asks Raeliana what she's doing there, and she says she saw the prince in danger, which is mighty sus. Noah is super pissed off because she was in danger, but he still does not let Raeliana look at the body. She says she'll go fetch the prince now, since what she was just holding was a fake. She's so smart and so brave for risking her life for the prince. Beatrice better reward her. Just then, Justin, who found out Raeliana was in the palace, arrives super concerned about her, caressing her face as he checks for injuries, which Noah is visibly enraged about. He pulls her back, a murderous mood in the air. Raeliana breaks away from the tense situation to go fetch the cute prince, but as she's returning, she trips and both of them try to catch her, worsening the situation. Justin is managing things a few minutes later when he realizes Noah saw Raeliana's ring hanging around his neck earlier. He rushes back to the room saying he wishes to return the ring, which he picked up by chance, but Noah does not want to hear any of it. He grabs the ring, looks at it, and drops it, letting it roll in the ground. This extremely expensive ring, he says it doesn't look like Raeliana's and couldn't possibly be hers, and leaves with one of his coldest expressions yet. He's basically saying since you touched it, it's not hers anymore. Oh my. I'm Team Noah all the way, but a little fighting over the female lead is nice to watch. Some days have gone by and everything has settled down. Noah has been extra protective of Raeliana, but she can now leave the mansion as long as she's with Adam, who is basically her personal escort by now. On their way back from an outing, a wheel of the carriage she's on breaks, and while it's being repaired, they go to an inn to eat something. Adam covers his eyes with a hood before going in, which Raeliana thinks looks uncomfortable, but he insists. In the inn, there's a rowdy group of very rude mercenaries, and when Raeliana and Adam sit at their own table, one of them comes over and unhoods Adam, pointing out he has red eyes. The mercenaries start being sons of censored word and say that red-eye people are monsters and blah blah blah. Raeliana is having none of it, so she calls over the manager of the inn and pays him double to rent all the rooms in the inn so that the mercenaries are kicked out. The power of money wins again, and they are forced to leave. But then Raeliana scolds Adam for not getting mad about this. She tells him he can't let comments like these slide. And to think of it as an insult to her is an insult to him, since he clearly won't react it. It's only about him. They promptly leave the inn since the carriage has been repaired, only to find the furious mercenaries outside, ready to hurt our female lead. Not to worry though, Adam is right there and he is now finally angry. He easily deals with them while Raeliana watches with a bit of shock. Still, that's Adam for you. A few days later, Raeliana is back at the palace library looking for answers because last time she had to leave due to the incident with the prince. She is crying over the fact that she can't just Google stuff when Justin arrives. Still determined to woo her, he gives her candy because it seems she was having a hard time from studying. Raeliana asks where he got them since she wants to give them to Adam, but Justin wonders if she'll just give them to the Duke. She smiles to herself as she remembers the face Noah makes when he eats sweet things, which he despises. And Justin sighs upon seeing her expression. He asks her if she has a minute and... we'll stop here for today. Honestly, guys, how come Beatrice didn't reward Raeliana for the whole baby thing? Please comment some candies and chocolate emojis in the comment section so at least we can reward her together. Don't forget to ask for the next part in the comment section and to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one!